rather gritty.
It's gritty, it's dark, it's a dark subject matter, isn't it?
It is.
And you find a father and son who are a farmer. The father is a farmer, son of a farmer, a widower, missing mum, a difficult age maybe to be going through that without a mum, and we're still sort of finding our way as a father and son. What's your character's name?
Johnny?
Johnny. He's in full-time education.
Yeah,
so that's going on, and falling in love.
And falling in love, yeah.
All those discoveries are going on, but also this highly tuned business model of the county lines drug dealing is encroaching on them, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sort of, when Johnny loses his mother, he's very young, about 13, 14. So to be going through that, you know, I think he's quite lonely. I don't think he has many people that he can sort of turn to. And so when there's sort of two blokes walking around the house, it's kind of ships in the night. They sort of pass each other. That's a lot of solitude. So when this does happen, and when, you know, the events that follow do happen, in a way, by the end of it, it brings them together, which is nice.
You know, what's terrifying is that I think there's a sort of, I think I had it, this misconception that these were young boys who were attracted by the glamour of crime, who think, I'm going to give this a go. It's not the case. They get trapped and they get tricked and they get blackmailed and forced into this. And they become part of a wholly disposable workforce. And it's really, really scary, and it's constantly looking for new markets. And it encroaches on them, doesn't it? And, but also because of, Mark Evans, the director, puts this beautifully, because it's about boundaries and it's about encroachment, and because farming is in a pickle at the moment, just got worse since we made it, and there's boundaries and land and territory is doubly important. So the idea of an invasion is a double blow, and that resonates throughout it. And Mark would say there also, even the bit of Wales we were in is a kind of border region anyway. It's not deep Welsh-speaking Wales. And I never heard two accents the same while we were there. Well, not from us, anyway.
No, definitely not. No. Yeah.
But yeah, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
But so along with that's happening adjacent to the perfectly natural problems of you know, a motherless family, and a young man in his late teens, which is hard enough anyway. This is the way you do it.
Yeah. The start of the story, he's a regular lad, really. You know, he's a good kid. He's a bit sensitive. He's a good swimmer. You know, he likes his video games. Typical teenager, really. But he's dealing with the fact that he's lost his mother, so not a very typical teenager. I think he struggles to find friends because he's, you know, somewhat isolated on that farm, and he spends a lot of time with his father. So in terms of his social life, I think he's kind of restricted. A lot of it's online, you know, playing video games. A lot of it's kind of...
And remote. It's a remote farm, and
exactly,
you don't drive yet.
No.
You go as far as you can go on your bicycle.
Exactly.
But we are sort of in the middle of nowhere, aren't we?
So he's kind of restricted as to who he talks to, really. And
yeah.
I think,
and we try, don't we? We try to rub along.
Yeah, and I think, like I mentioned it earlier, it's kind of two lads in the house, kind of, not much is really said, really. And
Microwave cannelloni.
And microwave meals.
You know,
but
not too grim.
No. But yeah, I think they're both getting on with what they're doing, and I think trying to sort of pave over what's happened, and they don't necessarily ever really talk about how they feel, which is you know.
And also there's the question of, very topical now, the inheritance of the land, because it's sort of, right, I think the first thing I say to you is one day all this will be yours in a facetious way, but you know, that is the case. And we don't really explore in it whether or not you're bitten by the farming bug, are you? No. Because there's a lot of expectation that you will help, like with the horses and stuff. So we still have Sabine, Nathan's late wife's horse, to care for, and she's her and her stable is a sort of shrine,
Yes,
isn't it? It's
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
keeps her. We keep her memory alive with the horse.
Yeah. But I think at the beginning it's kind of regular life before everything happens, before, just a widower and his son trying to get on with what they're doing, and Nathan has the burden of the farm, and I have the burden of sort of young teenage life, that kind of school, those kind of things to be getting on with before everything happens. Yeah. I think that's where we find ourselves at the beginning. Yeah.
Well, it was nice being in a beautiful place. You'll see there's a theme there to my work. It's always in a nice environment whenever I get the choice. And I sort of, I've had a farm for 15, 16 years now, and we, explored it as farmers and landowners. And I've had a number of people sort of suggest work things that kind of incorporate that, and they've never felt very happy. But with Ed Whitmore, this is the fourth thing we've done with Ed now, and he's different gravy as a writer. To do it this way, and with Mark's involvement with the scripts and his what he brings to it in relation to the Welshness of it and the location of it and the geography of it is a lot. But it was great. I mean, it's always a leap of faith doing a new character. You don't know. And with the manhunts, I had Colin to look at, so I could sort of pin it on this. So you kind of jump off a cliff a bit, but once you've done that, all you can do is plummet. I had a senior policeman near me in Weymouth, which can be a bit hairy. It's weird. It's a lot of seaside towns, but he described it as a business model. It's the first time I'd heard that, and that's how I describe it now, as a business model. But it's well polished, well honed, and always looking for new markets. It's pushing the whole time. It's scary. It's very scary. It's very dark.
Terrifying, and it often happens with very young children, 14 to 17. I think is like the demographic, and thousands of kids per year are affected by it. And often they're promised with gifts, whether that's jewellery or shoes, or sort of they're promised this kind of high life, and they're naive because they often don't have much. So they then follow that and are often oblivious that it's actually happening to them, that they're being exploited, and then sooner or later they end up down a terrible path. And it runs rife through smaller communities, like you said. It's often those smaller communities with elderly populations as well, where often not much action can be taken because they're not aware that it's happening. Which is terrible. Which is why we need to shed more light on it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it is a fiction, but all the mechanics of county lines drug dealing is for real. That's how it rolls. Yeah. I do remember, because usually when you're sort of like exploring a relationship between two characters played by two actors, it's very often a husband-wife or a love story kind of thing, and you find little ways to sort of bond those characters, which we kept kind of coming across and then go, oh no, we can't, that's too functional. We've got to be slightly to the left of functional. And in a sense quite painful to sort of not be allowed any playtime, were we? It was all...
No, exactly.
Yeah. But I have to say, I've never had a son, and I don't think I've ever acted having a son before. But if I did have a son, I couldn't want for a nicer son than Louis Ashbourne Serkis.
Stop it.
He's a gent. He's fabulous.
And
he's really so good in the play. What was it? It's programme.
That's very funny. Not really.
No, that wasn't the point.
Great. No, I'm joking. He was a great father figure on set. I learned a lot from him, to be honest. He's a bit of a goat.
What not to do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you summed it up well. I think it's that, as much as we would have liked to explore, the great things between a father and a son, it's difficult because, like you say, it's dysfunctional and they've lost something so big.
And in a funny way, the only opportunities given to us to bond are when it's the worst is at its worst.
Yeah.
It's like that's when they come together a bit, when things get really shit.
Yeah. One of our favourites, I think, is when was it with the chicken? You know, the metal chicken. Is that when you first said it? I can't remember. When was the first time? You know, when I'm standing, it's the party, and you come in, and I turn around, and you go, Jesus Christ.
Oh yes, well yes. Him and his ne'er-do-well friends. Oh, it's just a dad catching out his son, really.
Yeah. I think our favourite catchphrase was probably
Jesus Christ,
Johnny. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Probably, yeah. But I like the moment later on in the series when we're turning in the horses and we're in the field.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice moment between them. And
Yeah, they were good to act,
yeah.
weren't they? Because they were kind of, they had all that conflict and the kind of the need they have for one another, but the sort of obstacles in the way and things. And it is around the horse, isn't it? It's around the horse that they come together.
Exactly.
Sweet Crystal.
That sort of memory of the mother.
Is she coming, the horse? It's
great drama.
It is great drama, actually. It is. I mean, it's got a scale to the and scope to its visually that's quite cinematic. And I think STV viewers will appreciate that, because I know you have your own big vistas up there. But this was quite a discovery for us, the big vistas in Wales.